Narration and point of view. Point of view is the way that the author wants you to understand the story, and there are three major types: first person, second person, and third person points of view. In the first person point of view, the narrator, or the person that's telling the story, is one of the characters of the story. This first person point of view narrator will refer to himself or herself as I or me throughout the story. In this first person point of view, the reader experiences exactly what the character or the narrator experiences. However, the reader is also limited to what the narrator knows. When a first person narrator reveals his or her innermost thoughts through narration, it's called internal monologue. In the second person point of view, the writer directly addresses the reader, referring to the reader as you. The effect of this is that the reader is pulled into the story, making him or her feel like a participant, and this form is rarely used in literature. In the third person point of view, the narrator is simply the teller of the story. He or she is not a participant in the story. A third person narrator is never referred to as I, we, or you in the story. The writer has many options when using this third person point of view. The narrator might be omniscient or all-knowing, meaning that the narrator knows everything. He knows the thoughts of all of the characters, and also knows all of the events that are taking place. Narration that conveys the inner thoughts of a character through narration is called indirect free discourse. If the narrator is not omniscient, he or she is limited, meaning that the narrator only has insight into one character. When the narrator discusses the character's thoughts, we hear the narrator's voice, not the character's. Writers sometimes change the narrative perspective in their writing. For example, William Faulkner's novel As I Lay Dying is written in the first person point of view. However, he alternates characters. So one chapter might be written in the first person view from Darrell's viewpoint, but the next chapter might be written in the first person point of view from Dewey Dell's viewpoint. So occasionally a writer will also use more than one view in the course of a novel. So for example, Barbara Kingsolver's The Poisonwood Bible is written primarily in the first person point of view, but it does contain passages written in the third person point of view. When you're looking at a narrator, it's important to think about the motivations that the narrator has in telling the story, and that will help you to assess how much to believe of what's being told to you. If the narrator is unbiased and tells an accurate account of the events, he or she is a reliable narrator. If the narrator has some degree of bias, which most narrators do, he or she is an unreliable narrator. And there are two different types of unreliable narrators. The partially unreliable narrator is one whose reliability you can never be certain about. Perhaps the narrator is attempting to be truthful, but he or she has biases that prevent him or her from telling you the truth. A wholly unreliable narrator is one who can't be trusted because he or she is telling a version of events that's not truthful. This type of narrator may be purposely trying to mislead you. So in summary, as you're reading, think about the narrator of the story. Is he or she a participant in the story? That will help you decide what point of view is being used. And then ask yourself, how much does he or she know about each character? And finally, ask yourself whether he or she has a motive in telling you the story. That will help you decide whether or not the narrator is or is not reliable.